We're back. Another episode. Bonding with Boogie and the Precious Perspective. And it is your host, Boogie Ogun. Him Himothy.
For sure.
Him for knee. Him the G. Him who doesn't hide. Him who seeks. Him with the shortest arms. Him still with the longest reach. And of course, we got my boy,
Precious with a Precious Perspective. And per usual, it's a pleasure to be down here with you, brother. And always even more dope when we have a guest. And this evening we have a very special guest, someone who's near and dear to my heart. Very dope person, very dope creative, just overall good spirit. I can't even talk about all the things that she does, so I'll go ahead and hand it over to her and let my girl Jody tell y'all about her, where you can find her at.
Hey y'all, I'm Jody, certified sexologist, fellatio instructor, podcaster on Her Nut Matters, content creator, technically have acting under my belt.
we can do that.
Yeah.
And before the show starts, once like how Precious said, near and dear to our hearts. Before the show starts, want to give Jody her flowers, just for being a big part of our lives, just for being a big part of my life, just for putting in work, putting in the effort to succeed and help us succeed and help the people around her. You know what I'm saying? I just want to thank you for giving back to the ones you love.
not I'm giving back.
No, for sure.
I love it.
Yeah.
And so I think even with having you here, one of the things that we celebrate on Bonding with Boogie and a Precious Perspective is the voice. You have a very unique voice, and not only the literal sense, but also in the things that you discuss, the topic, the subject matter, all that different type of stuff. Of course, we hear people talk about sex, you know what I'm saying? And obviously you're much more than sex, but that's been the brand. And
Yes.
So with that, how have you been able to, I guess, come to that space of that being the brand? Because sex is something that's so like taboo, and we have conversations all the time where it's wrongly discussed even and done for that matter. So where did that, I guess, two-part question. First, when and where did you establish like that was going to be topic of discussion, and why did you think it was important?
So I guess in a way, it sounds crazy as hell to say, but I'm going to say it anyway because that's me and I don't give a fuck for real.
This is a safe space.
So I feel like all roads were, like my whole life, roads were leading this way.
Okay.
That sounds crazy as fuck.
Man, because it's fucked up. I was going to ask you, so how early, at what age did you know that you were going to be a freak hoe?
And it's crazy that you say that because I can go back to the age of like 7 and say.
Now it sounds, now we shouldn't be talking about this.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be talking
You should have just let her answer the question.
But to be honest though, I understand just as far as being that young, just as far as being just a freaky little nigga. You know what I'm saying? Just as far as just being, you know what I'm saying? Kids, some kids be different than other kids. You feel me? Yeah, but
Get our guest answer, bro.
yeah.
I was talking about I was a freaky little nigga.
It be freaky little niggas out here.
He's talking about it be him, not me though. Please, Jody, continue.
Okay. All right. So to kind of contextualize what I meant by
please.
at the age of 7, I remember when the Players Club came out.
I've heard this story before.
You've heard this story before,
go ahead.
because there's certain moments in my life where I feel like there was a moment that put me on this road. And for me, watching the Players Club, knowing I wasn't supposed to be watching the Players Club, because in the 90s, what a lot of parents did was they will put on a movie and you're supposed to close your eyes on the sex part. But of course, the provocative
Players
parts,
Club,
right?
yeah.
So like the
held
part,
your fucking shit like this.
Yeah.
right? But it's like they assume that because you're a kid, you don't really know what's going on, whatever. But I'm seeing Damon dance on stage, and I'm like,
Not I want to dance on stage.
I want to dance on stage.
Yeah. When you're a kid, your mind wonders.
She was beautiful. She was
Yeah.
R. Kelly playing in the background.
And she was in college. It wasn't just the fact that she was. I was
The
like,
purple pink
she's
lighting.
Yeah, like she's smart, she's sexy, people fawning over
She take
her.
care of her kid. She take care of her kid. She got her own crib.
I didn't view that in a bad light. I was like, oh, okay, cool. She about her money.
At 7, you didn't view that in a bad. You just what light were you viewing it in at 7?
I was viewing it as like,
you
I think
understood
I could do that.
the bigger picture. She understood the bigger picture at 7. She understood that that's a single mother going through school and it's possible.
Yeah. So I saw that. Then, like, fast forward, of course, teenage years, life is happening. I was a very different person in high school. I was fucking, but I was a very different person in terms of the way in which
you was fucking?
You just want to know.
The way in which I communicated around sex. Okay. So, even though I was participating in sex, it was a very inactive participation. Okay. So, it's like, I'm having sex with you because you're my boyfriend, and this is what boyfriend and girlfriends do. Yeah. That sounds like a chore. That sounds like a duty. And that means that I'm not doing it because I genuinely want to do it. I'm doing it because this is what people do because you're my boyfriend. And
your high school boyfriend, was he not hitting the boots right? Like, you didn't want to have sex with your... I understand the part that you're saying, and the boyfriend, you feel like it's a boyfriend-girlfriend thing, but... Did you not want
I think at the time it was good for what I perceived good to be. But what I now know in hindsight is that I didn't start fucking for real until I was 30.
And I can agree.
So oftentimes we're doing shit, right? Like, we just doing shit. We doing what we done heard about, what we done seen on porn. Like, we're just doing shit. We have not educated ourselves on pleasure points, erogenous zones, foreplay. Don't know shit about foreplay for real. Mm-hmm. Motherfuckers was... The people that was eating pussy or sucking dick in high school, it was like, you weren't really talking about that for real. And that's not even foreplay for real. That is sex. Like, that is oral sex. It's called oral sex for a reason, right? Yeah. So, even when you look at it in that perspective, like, again, we just trying shit. We just doing whatever. And so, I remember there was another time where I had broke up with my high school boyfriend, and I had my apartment, I had a car, I had a job, and niggas was on me, and I was 19. Oh. I was 19.
You was out here fucking?
I was fucking before then.
Yeah, but I mean, at this 19 age that we're speaking of now, where you like...
Let me tell you, right? So we had broke up, so I was still kind of heartbroken.
Okay.
But also, I had my own apartment, I had a car, and I had a job, and I was a sophomore in college. So niggas was on me, specifically at my job. And so...
Always at the gig.
Always at the gig,
Don't trust
right?
a bitch with a job.
Oh, man. That is crazy.
So I was beginning to like
work husband
feel different about like sexual interactions, but I was still fighting like that shame of, no, you're supposed to find your one boyfriend and then stay with him forever, and then he's possibly gonna marry you. And it's like I was still holding on to
this shit was a Disney movie.
Very much so. Like, even back then, I thought I wanted a Disney wedding, like dead ass. Like, my daughter's father he thinks he still knows what I want, because back then I said I wanted a Disney ass wedding. Like, I was that girl.
I hope he don't still think that's what you want now.
It's crazy because like within the last year, he caught himself telling my daughter like, oh yeah, your mama wants it. And I'm like, you don't know me anymore. Yeah. You dead ass don't know me. Yeah. And I can even appreciate that, because he's still stuck on the idea of me being who he knew. Right? Because sometimes when you meet somebody in a certain space, you can't see them beyond that space. So whatever, you don't know me for real.
Got you.
But during that time, I was struggling, right? I'm struggling with this idea of sexual shame that is imposed on us very early on, and me saying like, oh, well, that was my boyfriend, but now, even though we're not together, I should just try to work it out with him, because that's what good girls do. Mm-hmm. And so I'm still holding on to this good girl persona, but also the niggas is on me. And I'm like fighting that. So now I'm finding little dumb ass Jody logic ass nuances of how to deal with these niggas while still getting my old nigga back. And so I would be like, okay, cool. If I do have sex with them, it don't count if we don't finish. So I would never let guys finish.
What?
Oh yeah.
I would never.
You probably wouldn't be here. If I, yeah, I would have put a pillow over your face.
That's first of all, that's not okay.
I'm not saying that it is.
All right,
I'm literally.
I just know how you and your Jody logic goes.
You would never let them finish.
Yeah,
never let him finish.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, like I would let a guy get in me for like 6 pumps, and I'd be like, "You got to stop now."
That's very dangerous.
The 7
that was,
pump. I get surgical with this bitch, Jake.
Or like, and it's like, so what I was doing, and honestly, what I was doing is the same logic of the Mormons.
Okay.
Do y'all know what? Okay.
I know what they are. I don't
Mormons, that's like
no. So what they do is
Weird Al Yankovic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's go with that.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what Mormon teenagers do to preserve their virginities, right? They say they're not having sex if, for example, the boy penetrates the girl, but there's no movement. They just stand still, and then their friends around them kind of make the bed bounce. They do that. That is a practice.
It's certain
in the Mormon
sexual things you just shouldn't know.
Yeah.
But again,
I know you're.
I study sex.
For
so
sure.
I study, and I don't just study sex as like, oh, this is what sex is. I study the historical and social and cultural contexts of sex.
Gotcha.
So I study sex across the world. I study sex in different communities. I study sex through different racial lenses as well. So
Well, I like more and more sex, not Mormon sex. So let's cap that.
yeah, but my point is that what's similar between my Jody logic and what the Mormon community is doing is that there's this idea of sexual shame, and so you're trying to preserve that purity, that the respectability politics around what good girls, good women are. You're trying to hold on to some ideal, and so in practice, even if that shit don't really make sense, it still aligns with this value that you're holding on to. And that's what a lot of people do. And so for me in that space, I'm like, okay, again, like I said, I was wilding. Like I could have easily have been pregnant very quickly from playing these very dangerous games. But also, again, I was having sex. I didn't have sexual education. And so that was the missing piece of it. And so, again, life continues to happen. I eventually get pregnant for real. Have a daughter.
She's great.
Yeah, she's pretty cool. Yeah, she's alright. But
She's pretty cool and agree. Like, yeah, she is just alright.
She pretty cool. But then I got into like, okay, again, me and her dad don't work out. I get into another long-term relationship, and I held on to that because the sex was unlike anything I'd ever experienced before. So that was my first good dick.
Okay, fact. So like,
so I held on to that for a very long time.
Fresh
I
out the
thought,
penitentiary, was he?
no, he was a little slow.
Oh, same thing. Niggas go to jail for 7, 8 years and be slow when they get out or phone them the meds.
And it's like, I don't want to use that term as like a way to describe like people that are, but it's like, what I'm talking about. Yeah. Like, Precious has met my ex.
I was about to say, I've talked to this guy. I don't know what she's talking about with anything else. but the guy's a little slow. What are you talking about?
Gotcha.
And also, I didn't know how slow he was until I was too far in it. So, I held on to that situation for a long time because, again, I'm struggling with, no, you find your person and you stick with them, whatever.
So you thought an LD nigga was gonna be your person?
I didn't know he was.
Oh, but then when you got in it though, you found out and you still.
Yeah, no. Once I realized like, oh, this really how he act. Then it was like, okay, cool. And then I couldn't really unsee it. Like, because it wasn't just like the way he communicate. It was like a bunch of like, it was some emotional roller coaster shit. So I'm just thinking like, oh, this is what the fuck is supposed to happen, right? Because what we often see in society is that we glorify toxicity when it comes to relationships. Like, no, anything worth having is worth fighting for. Me and him were fighting for real.
For sure.
And I shouldn't be fighting for nothing. Like anything that I have, again, with age and with experience, I know now that things should flow easily. But that wasn't the case. I'm still holding on to that sexual shame. I'm still figuring out like who the fuck am I truly as a person. And then once I got out of that situation, I was like, you know what? I've never technically had a hoe phase because I was always in this kind of like back and forth struggle. So I was like, I'm 30 now. I'm going to be a hoe. And I'm going to like just jump in head first. Like I'm going to do some shit, right? So I was like, I'm going to fuck with a young nigga because I ain't never fucked with a young nigga before. So then I'm like,
you were 30. What's a young nigga?
He was
18.
Hell no.
Man, relax.
No, he was 24.
Okay.
24, young enough. So I'm like, okay, cool. Start fucking with the 24-year-old. That was cool. I'm like, okay, cool. Then I started fucking with a scammer. Found out that was his uncle. Didn't know at the time. But then I didn't stop fucking with him once I knew they was related either.
Yeah. You already did it. It was no point.
Yeah, I was like, whatever. We here now.
If they was real.
Then I was like, okay, cool. Who's the nigga in my friend zone? I could just fuck just to say I did it. Like I just started doing shit because now this is for
Sex
like
off the bucket list.
She had a list of things to do.
I'm acquiring data at this point.
Someone's moving.
So I'm acquiring data. And I'm like, I want these experiences so that I can know, like, figure out what's for me, right? And I think part of what I love about my journey in particular is that I was being very proactive in the things that I wanted to do, even if it didn't make sense to other people.
Facts.
So
yeah, with that journey and with that, exactly what you just said, I was gonna ask you, being a female and being looked at a certain way, I know you, so I understand you. And I'm the person that I am, so I'm no one to judge anybody's sexual interactions but just as being a woman and just, having family members, having friends, having, other women around you that may not be as open as you are about, sexual education, sexual interaction, sexual intercourse, sexual things in general. Mm-hmm. How did you manage to people look at women weird when they just too sexual or just when you we look at you as a sexual being, but when you act as a sexual being too much, it gets looked at. It don't get frowned upon about from us, but other women and maybe your family members and maybe I don't know if you've been to church. Some church people might. So how did you? But like I said, I know you. So once you figured that the sex was going to be topic of discussion, brand, I know you probably threw other people's feelings out the window.
Sure did.
But yeah, but what was that journey like being a woman and having to deal with motherfuckers? Cause you still deal with it today. I'm sure niggas still be saying wild shit. Females still be saying wild shit because they not as open as you are. You know what I'm saying, when it come to sex. And I feel like a lot of women want to be like you when it comes to just the mind, to speak, the voice to speak about being freaky and being sexual and they afraid.
Yeah, so it's a couple different things, right? As it relates to like, I'm the oldest of 4. So my mom has a son and 2 other daughters. And so for me, kind of saying like, I feel like throughout my life, I always would I had my own identity. And I was like, this is who I am. And I when I speak up, and when I don't, I don't. Like, that's kind of been consistent across the board. Before I started speaking up on sex, I was speaking up on other topics. And so it just shifted a little bit. I still talk about other shit outside of sex. Like, I don't want people to think like, oh, she just only talks about sex all the time. However, when I decided that was going to be my brand, that was a very specific point, because before I became a sexologist, before I even started podcasting about sex, I was an entrepreneur. I had multiple businesses. Like, I actually, I have a background in PR and marketing. And so I had a corporate job and I was always doing, just a very smart person. Right. So I started noticing a trend with my Facebook in particular. And so when I talk about my business and I talk about events and, just anything business related, 1-2 likes. I talk about sex, is going up. And I'm like, I remember there was a very specific moment where I made this Facebook status and I said, okay, I get it, sex sells. From that moment on, I knew that I was going to begin to invest more in me being a sex content creator.
Right.
And then I want to say within the next 6 months, I went live. That was like my first podcast. That was in February of 2021. Yep, February of 2021, because it was right after. No, y'all didn't know me yet.
Okay.
I don't think y'all knew me yet. That was right after I had broke up with my ex and I said I'm finna start being a hoe. I went live with one of my old Puerto Rican friends or whatever, because
we were only old Puerto Rican friends.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Jody Mexican, y'all, if y'all
So
know.
I used to live out west in Humboldt Park, and so yeah, like I'm real cool with the Puerto Ricans out there. So me and her, we went live, and the topic of we was just doing some shit because she was like, oh, I want to start a podcast, and I was like, okay, I'll do it with you type shit.
That's what podcast was. Yeah. Niggas going live.
Yeah, going live and talking shit. And so we go live. The live is still on Facebook, and it's funny because, and it's like I like to go back to it because it reminds me of how far I've come
I'm about to go watch
as a content creator. But I was the highlight of the live. Like, she said she wanted to start a podcast, but people were literally joining the live because of me, because of the story I was telling. And what I was doing in that moment was showing, basically, all my friends know that I act like this, but nobody had actually seen me act like this on camera.
Facts.
That's why my friends always like to talk to me about sex, because the way I describe sexual experiences is comical. Like, it's funny. I'm not trying to be funny. It just so happens that it's funny. So I'm describing the first time I used a sex toy, which was I had bought a rose, and I was describing the first time I used a rose and how I almost drowned. And then motherfuckers like, how the fuck you use a rose and almost drown? And I'm a little person, so I'm in a tub, and I was gonna use the rose in the tub, and like I turned it on or whatever, and I didn't know what to expect. It's not like I was like, ooh, let me turn this on and see how it feels on my hand first. I didn't do that.
You say straight for the kill.
Now that I'm thinking about
going
it,
in for the kill.
yeah. So I described how I, even back then I was like, ooh, I kind of want to make this romantic. So
with the rose.
Yeah,
Oh,
like, so
you had a romantic moment with the rose.
With the rose. So I ran a bath, I lit a candle, I turned on some Usher, and
you ain't know what the rose was gonna do, but you set the scene up like you knew that motherfucker was fit up. Damn, Valentine's.
Because I heard stories, and it was in February.
Hey, when the rose first dropped, it was most definitely bitches on the internet getting that rose just killed me.
Right. So
I'm like, damn, the rose
like, let me, I want to.
Sound like I can't compete with that rose. the rose sound, the rose sound like it's vibrating, shaking the shit out some twat.
Oh my God. So I turned it on to the first setting, and my ass went like this in the water.
Oh, man.
Off the first setting. Off the first setting.
The funny thing about it was, me pressing it on the first setting, when I went like that, I accidentally hit it twice more, so it went like so.
You say took off
with
on
that turbo boost on it. Got a blast.
Oh me.
But again, like when I was telling that, my friends was just laughing at me because it's like, why are you like this? And I'm like, that's really exactly how it went down. And so from there, and just me getting the reaction that I got, I'm like, I'm very much a person where even when, when people listen to my show now, I'm never saying anything to be funny. I'm just telling my story. And then it's like, I don't realize it's funny until people start laughing. I'm like, oh, I guess it was funny.
I appreciate good storytellers, man.
And I think that's what all of this is about. Like, and even with your content, like one thing that I've always appreciated about Talking Sex with Jody is, it's the funny stories, it's that, but it's also the enlightenment. You know what I'm saying?
She knows her stuff.
Also, it's also the introducing people to resources that can help them with their sex life, because ultimately people may not understand it as such, but sex is a form of nonverbal communication, and it can be verbal, very much so, if that's what you went to. But I think a lot of times people look at it And like you said, especially in relationships, people look at it like a chore or something that you're supposed to do. So speak a little bit to you, okay, making it a fact in your head, like, all right, this is going to be the brand, but why was that important for you to be the brand? Because it's one thing we all know, like you said, sex sells. You throw some ass shake, and that's another thing that I do appreciate about your content and going into that. Yeah, just like any other woman, you go out, you may shake a little at, but you aren't the sex that's being sold in your content.
Never.
So how do you do it? You know what I'm saying? How do you go about
I know it'd be hard to. I know you be having a lot of niggas in your inbox that think you just some hoe, and you be having to let them know, like, bro, I do the sex shit, but I'm not fucking you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it must really suck to inbox a hoe and then come to the realization that you're never going to experience that hoe. Yeah. That must really strike a
and when I say they assume that,
yeah,
and I don't even want to say they assume you're a hoe, but the fact that you so sexual, niggas is going to
see it as an invitation.
And it's so funny because, again, it wasn't until I turned 30. I was talking freaky before 30. I come to a nigga house and sit on the edge of his bed. Like,
you gotta go.
About
get your coat and hit the door.
Like,
I'll make sure you get to the car from the window.
But you know what? I kind of use that because I think for majority of my life I have been a tease. And so I leaned into that energy a little bit. Like, I'm a sexual being without having to try very hard. There are a lot of people out here that try to be sexual. I don't have to be sexual. I learned how to be sexual just with my presence, with certain shit that I say. Like, I learned that. And that comes with redefining what sex is. Yeah. And so, to go back to when you were saying, like, oh, some people view sex as a chore. I was one of them at one point. And I had to redefine sex in a way that defined sex as artistic expression. And when you look at it as artistic expression and you give yourself permission to experience pleasure by just doing it because you enjoy it, now you're able to see it in a totally different light. And I can never go back to just doing it just to do it. Like, no, I'm not doing this shit.
Yeah, I think that goes back to what I was saying in regards to that form of communication. Like, once you have a good conversation with a person and y'all understand each other clearly and you get their points and vice versa, it's hard for you to talk to somebody who's ignorant or closed-minded or just not to that same, again, going back to the statement that you made about your ex, you know what I'm saying? Like, when you was in it, you ain't really pay attention to this motherfucker might be a little off.
And then it got to a point, specifically with that, it got to a point where I was so turned off that the sex couldn't keep me. And I say all the time, like, good dick will keep me in a situation way longer I'm supposed to. But I didn't want that man to touch me. Like, it was literally a point where he came to my birthday party and he like scared off all my other niggas that was there for me or whatever. And then he like came to my house and thought he was gonna get like, all right, cool. I'm the last nigga.
I was gonna say, man, them other niggas would have formed a group.
But you know what it be about? You know, and it's crazy. And you know what she mean by scared niggas off?
I'm not saying scared nigga off because scared.
Niggas be seeing that niggas be ready to crash out about some pussy. And it was niggas around that wasn't on the level he was on. Like, bro, all right, bro. You got it.
That's exactly what it was.
Niggas should have formed a
jumped
group,
his ass.
and not even because I've been in a situation where it was like a chick invited myself, her current nigga, and then 4 other niggas that she had dealt with.
I was
and
single.
Me and the other 4 niggas, like, we kind of got cool and was kind of talking about the other nigga, like, damn, good luck. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's crazy because that wasn't even a situation. Like, it was my birthday, and this nigga had broke up with me 2 months before my birthday. And so
he had no gift money.
He broke up with me 2 months before my birthday, and then. But here's the thing, I was still cool with all his homies. So he knew where all his homies was finna be the night of my birthday. And so he hit me up like, is it cool if I come? I'm like, I don't care. Like, you know, whatever. Like, I don't hate you or anything like that. But I'm not thinking that this motherfucker finna make a scene either. He makes a fucking scene.
This is the speech?
The speech.
Facts.
This man say this wild ass speech. Embarrassed me on my birthday, basically. And
what did he say in the speech?
It's crazy because the speech is documented somewhere. Like a homie recently sent it to me. Like, this shit was wild. Kyrie was there. He heard the speech. He like, gee, I thought he was gonna propose to you. Like, it was wild. It was wild. But either way, what pissed me off about the speech, because let's just go there. He said, yeah, I've been in her life for the last 6 years. You not saying that you broke up with me 2 months ago. You saying you been in my life for the last 6 years like you my current nigga.
Cock blocking.
Cock blocking first. Then he goes on to say like, yeah, woo woo, she's an amazing person. She's smart, woo woo woo. But she's the type of person that create garbage and expect other people to take it out.
Oh, yeah, you gotta get the fuck from out my... yeah, what the fuck is you here for?
That's tough.
What the fuck would you say that? Especially considering everybody here know me and nobody will ever agree with that. Like, you saying that I'm not somebody that takes accountability. Are you projecting your own shit onto me? Because you talking about yourself. So you got up on stage and started talking about your fucking self and made it seem like you were talking about me and how much you love me. But it's like, bro, that was the wildest shit I had ever heard in my life. So then, like, the night over with or whatever, his homies that he rolled with left without him. So he comes to my house.
You shouldn't have been dating that guy in the first place.
I really don't like that guy.
He comes to my house, and I'm mad because of, like, how the night, like, it was some whole other wild-ass shit that happened that night. It was a shootout. It was a bunch of wild shit that night. So I just want to get in the bed. I gets in the bed. He came and, like, got behind me, and he went like this. I said, don't touch me. Yeah, I was about to say, don't touch me. And then I got up, I went like this, and I went to sleep.
Balled up, try not to even let a leg touch.
Bro, I don't want any, like, just, look, you could sleep here tonight. I drop your ass off in the morning in a couple hours. Don't fucking touch me. And I went to fucking sleep. And that's when I knew. I was like, yeah. Like, I kind of knew before then, but that was definitely one of them situations where I was like, you officially gave me the ick. I can't un-ick how I feel. Like, so, yeah, like, that shit was cooked. He kept trying to get back in good with me. He called me on New Year's. I put my phone on airplane mode. He then when I finally did talk to him, he was like, yeah, I FaceTimed you. I said, I know. What's up?
Facts.
Then the nigga gonna say something. Well, I was just calling to see what you wanted me to do with all your stuff. I said, what you got him, man?
They got Uber carrier now.
Let me tell you. Let me finish this part, and then we can go to something else. But because this shit is funny. I'm like, what all of mine do you have? Mind you, we didn't live together. He lived in his apartment. I lived in mine. And I rarely left shit at your house. So what the fuck could you possibly have of mine? When I come, I leave with what the fuck I came with. You got all these pictures. I said, throw them in the garbage. The man says they're on my phone. You coming up with any reason to talk to me?
You
leave me.
Got back with that nigga after that bar.
No. Leave me the. I said, you can delete them.
That's very strange.
Goodbye. And that was like I had let that shit go.
Yeah, as you should have.
I wouldn't be here if I was still with that nigga. And I say that all the time. Like, he was a very weird ass nigga. He is a very weird ass nigga.
And so going into that though, how did you manage to, like, okay, bet your core point of just information, conversation, all that being sex, coming from a situation where, like you say, this started off as a great sexual experience, and now, like you say, getting to the point where you got the ick and now you can't undo that portion of it. Why did, like I said, sex become the thing, the topic outside of the selling point? Like, why did that become the thing that was like, you know what, let me really thrive in this area? Because again, the things that you've done, even with the 2 podcasts, Provocative, which is now Her Nut Matters, like, even transferring into that, was that experience that, I guess, profound and just thought provoking and like inspiring to be like, you know what, I'm finna hop on. I'm finna not only have these different sexual goals and or experiences, but I'm also going to share them.
It was my diary. So,
Facts.
and I've said this before, Provocative started out as my diary.
Okay.
It's me literally saying like, I had this funny, wild, interesting sexual experience and I'm going to talk about it. And you know what I'm saying? Like at the time, and here's the thing, I was 30. I still could count on one hand how many people I had slept with. And I was like, yo, I feel so inexperienced. Like, and I genuinely was. It wasn't just a feeling. I knew I was inexperienced because of the education aspect of it, but also the men that I was having sex with at the time were also inexperienced. And not inexperienced in terms of like bodies and shit like that. Like, cause the y'all fucking just like,
education,
yeah, it's the sexual education aspect of it. And so, I didn't want to be at that level anymore. I wanted to, you know, have more fulfilling experiences. So what started out as me like, oh, I want to have fun with it, I want to find myself through sex, eventually took me down the road of now I want to be a sexologist because I want to do it responsibly. I want to talk about sex in a way that is ethical. So I'm gonna crack my jokes and talk about my experience, but also I want to be able to educate people as well, because now I have what before I became a sexologist, because I didn't become a sexologist until 2022. So that was almost a year after consistently talking about sex. Yeah. But people were beginning to come to me and ask me questions. And that's when I realized I had a responsibility. And I wanted that responsibility. And so I was like, okay, I don't want to be just another podcaster talking about sex. I want to be a sex educator. I want to educate people on these things. And it took me on this whole nother kind of like, and not even whole other, but like, it just took me deeper on that path of, this is what I want to do. And so, you know, I went to Exotica.
You went here and
in Miami,
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Was it a great experience?
Yes. Every time I taught at Exotica Miami was super dope. And fun, eye-opening, because again, what I've done since making that first decision to go on this whole journey after I turned 30 was collect data. Mm-hmm. Like all of this is information that I'm going to use in combination with the actual things that I'm studying. And so when I study human behavior, when I study attachment styles, when I study the reasons that Black people are left out of a lot of conversations when it comes to BDSM, or when I study the hyper-sexualization of Black bodies as at a historical perspective, right? When I learn about the Sarah Bartmans and, you know, Black people just being put on display, all of those things are informing the way in which I sexually express and how I sexually educate as well. And so even with the transition from Provocative, which was, again, it started out as a diary of my journey. Now I am a sex educator. I'm not searching for anything anymore. I'm not feeling like these ideas of sexual shame have a hold on me anymore. All of that shit is gone. So I've graduated from that. So I outgrew Provocative. Right. So for me, Her Nut Matters is all about looking at sex from a sociology perspective, from an anthropology perspective, a historical, social, and cultural perspective. So it's more taking on a, you know, like, okay, cool, I'm educating y'all. And of course, there's always going to be some jokes. I'm going to bring in my experiences, but I am going to challenge I'm going to challenge my listeners to think about why they view sex the way they do. And what do they need to unlearn about sex so that they can define sex in a more liberating way?
And so how difficult or easy was that in your journey? Because I feel like I like the fact that you said Provocative started off as a diary. In my mind, that's a journal. You know what I'm saying? And I tell anybody, like, get one, you know what I'm saying? Whether it's a daily affirmation journal, whether it's a prompts journal, like have some type of journal where you can log your thoughts, you know what I'm saying? Just so you can keep track of who you are. And so with that, how easy, like I said, or difficult was it for you to say, okay, bet, here is me expressing my journey with you all through Provocative and then transforming that into a educator and kind of teaching or teacher's perspective?
I don't think that was difficult. What I think was difficult about what I've done as a podcaster was the vulnerability aspect of it. It's easy for me to talk about like, oh, there was this one time I had sex with this dude and it only lasted 4 minutes, but he ate my pussy for like 39 minutes. So I should have knew the sex was only going to last for like 4 minutes. Like, it's easy for me to say some shit like that. Yeah. What wasn't easy was for me to...
Wait. Huh? You ate your pussy for 39 minutes? That's crazy. I had a bad ecstasy night though, and I ate pussy for about an hour. Dick would not work off the X. But I wanted it to work so bad, so I'm like, the more I eat pussy, the more my dick might get hard. And it wasn't even the X though. It was me taking the X and thinking I could drink so much. I told you that liquor. The Douce. Niggas was drinking the Douce. I did a fifth. It was my birthday. We had a room. I was feeling myself. I ate pussy for jaws locked, hurting. And to the point she like, all right, nigga. Nah.
Never mind.
Yeah, but she was a good champ lad. She booked another room the next day.
And made up for it.
The liquor wore off. Smashed her the next, killed her the next day. You hear me? Sure. We fucked for a long time after that.
Niggas is crazy.
Don't know where she is. Yeah,
don't know where she is today.
We're not gonna shameless plug your slong.
Yeah,
Jody, please continue.
My God.
This nigga talking about this one time. No, but I don't know where she is. But y'all, I don't really fuck with the ex and liquor like that.
But what I was saying was, it's easy for me to talk about shit like that because there's no real emotional investment in it for me to be able to do that. What was difficult was for me to talk about my childhood trauma, sexual abuse I experienced, the way in which that changed the way I viewed relationships and people, my relationship to my pussy, quite frankly, like how sex didn't mean anything for me for a very long time. Like I was doing it because I didn't care about it.
So let me ask you this. You mentioned sexual trauma.
Yeah.
Does sexual trauma play a part in you being a sexual being?
Yeah. I think all things play a part in our sexual expression. Facts. Right? Whether it's good or bad or ugly. And so I always made it a point to not only discuss the good, which was the funny. Facts. I wanted to discuss the bad. I wanted people to see this is why I, as a person, like, okay, I'm a little affectionate, but I'm not overly affectionate. Touching me in certain places makes me feel very uncomfortable. I didn't like receiving head until I was like 28.
Damn. Bitches love head.
I love head.
Humans love head, I thought.
Now. I love head now, but I wasn't going, like, I'm just sitting there allowing something to be done to me that I genuinely do not have. I'm not experiencing pleasure because I don't like how it feels because it takes me back to sexual abuse. And so literally, and I'm not expressing that to the men that I'm dating or the men that I'm having sex with. And so they giving me head and I'm like, yeah, I was molested and I don't want this happening to me because it makes me think about my abuser. Yeah. And so even the fact that I got to a point where I could say that and be like, this happened. But also what I did was I disassociated myself from the trauma. So I talk about it in a way like this occurred. It's not, oh, my sexual abuse, my trauma. I have to disassociate myself from it because it's not my identity. Right. So once I was able to disassociate myself from it and then heal, now I can have these conversations and I can help other people have these conversations because sexual abuse happens very often in the Black community. And it's often brushed under the rug. So even that.
Nah, and I commend you for that because I think a lot of times, like you said, even addressing a lot of people have been sexually traumatized, whether they speak on it or not. And so a lot of times when communicating, I think vulnerability is something that people connect with immediately when they feel you or find you in a space of saying something that's real, raw, authentic, and possibly relatable.
Yeah,
I think it draws in more of an audience because now people can see you and they see themselves in you. And I think that's, again, one of the most beautiful parts of your transition in the podcast space, and also as a person, knowing you as an individual, seeing the development of that, because sex is something that, and this is going back to our Skinamax episodes, we've been programmed wrong sexually. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things that happen that we've normalized in sex that probably shouldn't take place.
Yeah,
and
we normalize sex as violent.
Yeah.
Violent?
Yeah, we normalize sex as violent. So, for example, when you hear the way in which sex is talked about,
Gonna
and
beat this pussy up.
that's
don't beat up the
violent
things that
language.
you love.
Kill
You see
this
what I'm
pussy.
saying?
You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Violate
I'm finna
this-
drill your
violate
shit. Like,
this
you see what I'm saying? Like,
I'm finna knock your shit out the park. I'm finna pulverize
That pussy.
I'm finna Hulk smash.
I'm finna take you to Pound Town. Like, all of those things are associated with violence.
Yeah.
You talking about I'm not bad.
You beat
But-
that pussy up.
Ooh, thank you, Joe.
Oh my God. But also,
Relax.
I'ma shoot it like
Shooting
shoot
up
it
the
up.
club.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, all of these things are violent.
Yeah.
It's violent imagery.
Cause motherfucker got baseball bat. motherfucker knocking that bitch every which way. Batting. You been Odyssey program in the batting cage. Motherfucker knocking that bitch every which way.
Oh, my God.
I never. Yeah, you white though. Motherfucker do be violating that pussy. Oh, motherfucker do. Oh, speaking of that, did you watch porn in the late
Early
90s, early
2000s?
2000s?
I stumbled across porn collections, but again, it's still very traumatizing.
Let me ask you some quick. The porn back there.
because of the shit that I was watching.
So maybe I can ask you a question.
No, go ahead.
Okay, cool. Pinky.
I never saw Pinky. The shit that I
I
saw.
can't ask you anything.
Yeah,
then.
the shit that I saw was like, it was wild. Like, that's why it's like,
You was watching Two Girls, One Cup. Weird
I
shit like that.
I did see Two Girls, One Cup, but also
I saw that was some live wire shit. I ain't see that.
yeah,
on
but I'm thinking like, oh, I stumbled into my mama, my parents' room, and I'm seeing shit that I'm not supposed to see. Like, that shit, the shit that I was seeing was wild. It was like animal shit.
So I'm gonna ask
like,
my boy, Cherokee or Pinky?
Prime Pinky.
It was diabolical.
Yeah.
So are you riding with Pinky?
Fuck. I love me some brown skin.
Yeah. Pinky was one of those
Yeah.
though. I'm waiting.
I'm gonna go Diaz though, just because I love that
You gonna
little
go
ghetto
Cherokee?
ass tattoo.
Okay. Cherokee or Jada Fire?
Jada Fire.
I
love Jada.
Jada Fire. Okay. We gotta put on 5 niggas too.
Oh, man.
What I'm saying is, no, you're wild.
know what you
We
saying.
watch porn.
know what you
And we
saying,
watch porn. Ain't no wrong with nothing.
saying. I know
Y'all
what you
ass
saying.
wild.
I know what
We
you
watched
saying.
porn and it was niggas
was
knew
the
that male
niggas.
porn stars.
Yeah, that was gonna be co-starred with the
Mr.
Pinkies
Marcus?
and the was it crazy?
Or Mr. Marcus or Brian Pumper.
Oh man, this is crazy. This is
not crazy. It's not crazy.
I don't know what's happening
It's
right now.
not crazy.
They both gave good production value. I knew.
They were both very good actors.
Yeah.
They were both very
I knew that if there was a woman present, they were gonna voice that.
Them niggas taught us what we know.
But again, this is going back to what Jody and I, like what Jody was alluding to in that space of taught us what they know in a very wrong way.
Very
so
wrong
now
way.
my nigga, Mr. What was my other
No, it
nigga?
wasn't in the wrong way for them. Because they was doing their job.
They were doing their job.
We were stumbling upon
We were receiving this information as if it was educational, and it was not.
And it wasn't. It was entertainment.
That's exactly what it is. It's
Yeah.
entertainment, not an instruction manual.
Damn,
and
niggas trying to fuck.
No.
Like,
I thought it was instruction. It was entertainment. It was entertainment too, for sure. It was more entertainment than instruction at the time.
Yeah. But I think
But we didn't
for
know
me,
that.
I would say more instruction because and try at least trying.
You was, but what Pinky, Cherokee, nigga, that was your early ages of fucking. That
But also though, I feel like I ain't gonna even stunt. And this is where you get real in it. That shit, what they was fucking them bitches, and them bitches was oohing and eyeing and but
they doing the same fucking we doing. They just got a camera.
Motherfucker,
And you know Lexington and them got that motherfucking baby leg.
Punch a bitch uterus out like
facts. And the asses was huge. And the titties was baby oil.
Exaggerated.
Baby oil. And you know, like I said, from them coming through with that heat. Yeah, that was other
back.
But other than that, you right. Other than that, it is.
And I feel like if you was watching porn back then and going to do what you saw, you feel like you were having good sex until you realized there was a difference between that versus the type of sex you have now. Like, motherfuckers wasn't having good sex before 30.
And the reactions, the responses, I'm sure from the ladies. I feel like ultimately by you not telling, like,
honestly, porn,
what's not Mr. Marcus? What's my boy name? Wesley, he know who I'm talking about.
You little nasty bitch. You little bitch.
He was crazy.
You little bitch.
He had
Timberland boot.
Stepping on a bitch neck in a Timberland boot.
You suck that dick like that? Why you suck that dick like that?
Crazy.
Oh, you suck that dick like that?
So now motherfuckers is going out into the world.
Make the dick disappear. Make the
what
dick
the fuck
disappear.
is going on?
You making that dick disappear? He used to be talking that shit. And that's what I meant by you, babe. You know, because Ryan Papa used to be crazy.
Cracking eggs on bitches' heads.
Like, come on, man.
But this is what we're
This
saying.
is entertainment. And it should be
production.
Yeah, like
you said it wasn't real. It was real sex, but it was
not.
It was movie purposes.
It was not. Like what they not showing you is how much lube is involved.
Yeah.
How
this bitch was crying before she did this scene. Fuck is you talking about? Because she's got to fuck for $250 to pay for this.
Sometimes two guys. She got to fuck two guys.
You know what I'm saying? So again,
and also all of the fake moaning, like all of that shit,
Super
like
moaning. Because if you get plunked out by G-Nim all the time, bitch, I only see you with Lexington Steele, Brian Papa, the mechanic man, bitch, you had them gotta be some fake moans, because you just got hit 2 weeks ago by
about Black Snake
you just
moan,
got
bitch.
hit 2 weeks ago by 18. Now it got it something ain't right.
I will say I used to watch the porn with storylines.
I love a good story.
That's white people porn.
Yeah, like
It
that's
be
the
some
porn I
black
used to
people
watch.
porn that was
I
storylines.
was watching
had a
Zane.
storyline.
So Zane, the Zane
books
books were turned into a
get you
TV
wet.
series.
Yeah.
They were turned into a TV
Them
series,
Zane books
and I
get
used
you
to
wet.
stay up late and I would watch those.
That was
so
porn.
I wasn't watching
porn.
like
Whoa,
no, that's what I'm saying.
Zane
Like
had a show.
Yeah, they had a show.
Yeah.
It used to
I
come
gotta
on,
check the
not
movie website.
HBO.
BT,
What did it
maybe?
come on? It came on one of those
it
premium
was like
networks.
Max.
It
was
And
like
then
Max.
how old were we when this was happening?
I was a teenager.
Yeah, I was probably like.
I gotta go check.
12,
I gotta go to.
13.
I gotta go to the movie website.
Remember the chick from Twa 3?
Which chick?
Twa 3. What's
Yeah.
Twa 3?
Okay, it's a movie.
Where's that?
It's Menage a Trois.
that
So it's 3
Tubi?
movies all about threesomes, and we watched that for Skinemax.
Was that on
but,
Tubi?
It was the last one.
Yeah,
Remember the
they're
one?
crazy.
Remember the female pimp?
So it's probably still
Yes.
on. I remember the
She
female
was
pimp,
the main character
Kiki
in
Palmer.
Zane.
Not Kiki Palmer.
Oh my god.
Okay, let's get all of this shit back on track. Actually,
Kiki Palmer wasn't a female pimp.
She was a pimp.
Wrong
but-
movie.
Wrong movie. my guy.
No, pretty light-skinned actor.
Yes.
Like,
Okay.
yeah. So either way, she was the main character in the Zane series. Actually, we should do that for Skinner.
Facts. That would be good.
Yeah.
But I think that going back to
What's
what
funny,
we were
man?
talking
What you
about,
giggling about, dude?
I think the education that you provide on both platforms, because even with the funny shit, it was always real life in the mix. It's always because we understand sex to be a very serious topic and a very serious, honestly, like you said, once you start looking at it as an art form, and I would say the most powerful creative art form, because you create life through this thing.
You're literally using your sacral chakras when you're fucking.
And this energy to, create, the next life, whatever. And so with that kind of wrapping up, where and again, how do you see, like, I guess, us as a people or as individuals who are trying to not only have better sex, but learn how to properly communicate, our what we like, don't like, kink. We talk a lot about kinks and all that different type of stuff. How would you advise a person to find that safe space to do so, male or female? You know what I'm saying? Trying to express themselves sexually.
So a lot of men have conversations with men about sex.
Yay.
A lot of women have conversations with women about sex. And the way in which they have the conversations are very different, right? Like, so for example, if I'm having a conversation with my homegirls and they saying like, man, deep down, I actually don't really like sex. It's because he not doing this, he not doing that, but they're not having a conversation with him. Right? Guys are saying, yeah, I hit, but whatever. Like, like there are just different, there are conversations that are being had around sex, but they're being had not only with the wrong people, but they're not, they're also not being had with the right intentions and the right mindset. And so, for me, first of all, I only fuck guys that I know is gonna be good sex before we have sex, and it's because I know their mindset before we even get to it. Because I've done this to, like, I've almost, like, I can bet someone before we
Fuck with
even,
them R&B
like,
niggas. Them niggas that dance and shit. Okay, cool. Do.
You tell me, feel the rhythm.
You fuck with them WGCI late night.
Quiet Storm
Yeah,
niggas.
Keith Mike, Whispers in the Dark ass
Shut
niggas.
the fuck up.
Keith Sweat looking bad too, but go ahead. That's
No, so because I know what I desire sexually, there's only a very limited amount of, like, people that can kind of satisfy the sexual appetite that I have. Because I am a very kinky person, kinkier than most people. I'm into more things than most people, but that came from me learning a lot about sex and me exploring a lot. Like, I got three or four limits out of like 100 possible things that somebody could do to me. But also, the average person don't know that there's 100 things that you can do to a fucking person. They be like, what? I never thought about licking someone's underarms. You should.
You and that shit.
So, or
Should
like,
not.
I'm like, or I've
I
never.
got sensitive. I don't need to be looking at antiperspirant deodorant.
You, or I've never. But that's what I'm saying. Like, or whether it's like, but here's the thing. The underarms are an erogenous zone. Behind the kneecaps is an erogenous zone. So people aren't thinking. Yeah, or even like if somebody do like this softly to your kneecap, like people aren't thinking about touching people in that way.
Light touch.
Grazing.
Feels good.
Yeah.
Wherever. Light touch.
Yeah.
Freaky right
Yeah,
now.
motherfucker. Yeah.
Touching himself.
Light touch. I love
My
a good
body,
light touch.
baby, your
Overly
body,
freaky.
y'all.
Yeah, we got to wrap because my boy is getting hot. Oh,
But
man.
All over your body, girl.
But I think it's important. I think it's very important for people to look internally.
Amen.
I think it's very important for people to look internally, and that's what I did. Because the only way for you to know how to really give yourself experience pleasure, give yourself permission to experience pleasure with someone else is to do that shit with yourself. Like, it got to a point where my whole mindset was, why you think another nigga gonna play with your pussy if you won't play with your pussy?
You ain't touching that thing.
Like, and I didn't start masturbating until I was 30. Like, that was, like, I didn't do it because I'm like, ooh, no. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I would, like, sneak and do it a little bit, but I'm like, ooh, no, it makes me feel icky. So I never made myself come until I was 30.
Rocks off made you feel icky?
Yeah, because
as soon as I knew I could get a rock off, I didn't feel icky.
But check me out.
I was sticky, but I didn't feel icky.
But I didn't feel icky.
I was sticky. I didn't feel icky.
I felt amazing.
I think that's because of what we were saying earlier.
The sexual shame.
The shame, but also men kind of teaching sex. And so now women, because you're not the only woman who I've heard talk about masturbation or touching themselves like later in their life.
I'm expecting a man to explore my body and then me to figure out what I know as a result of that. And that is a terrible mindset to have, because what it does is reinforce, and not to get too feminist and too political, but it reinforces this patriarchal idea of conquest. And so if I sit back and wait for a man to tell me what I like done to my body,
but you'll never know.
I'll never fucking know, because he's just gonna do what the fuck he wants to do to my body.
To the last bitch. You know what I'm saying?
They do to every bitch. Like the same 3 positions, maybe 60 seconds of fucking eating pussy, and that's it.
I'm gonna lick a nipple.
Yeah, and it's like, and even with that, like,
and
I remember
wrong, maybe even some toes or so.
Yeah, but I remember, like, you know, even when it comes to like different, you know, men doing shit to my body, like I said, it wasn't just head. Like, niggas would be sucking on my titties, and I'm like, this feels dumb. I feel nothing.
And I believe you, because I done felt dumb sucking on some titties before. Like, I don't think this bitch like this. I don't think she really like this. You know what I'm saying? Like, she just laid back.
We gotta bop them together.
She laid back. She drinking a Pepsi. I'm sucking on the titty. She's just like, oh.
You talking about, is that Pepsi, bitch?
Yeah, and I'm trying to fuck that nipple up. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but yeah, I most definitely, but you gotta learn how to, like I said, you gotta learn how to, hey, now that I'm grown, I appreciate knowing certain things. I appreciate knowing that all sex isn't physical. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a mind thing, it's a visual thing, it's a all day thing. We out, and it's simple gestures and touches and looks.
You priming that puss.
The anticipation of it, like,
I appreciate being older now and just realizing it's not about, bitch, what's up? Bitch, you coming over? It's we fucking.
Touch this dick.
Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying?
I'm finna do the dick thing.
The amount of times a motherfucker, and I'm like, oh, I guess I gotta play some dick now.
Oh, that sounds crazy.
I appreciate.
Get away from me doing that. Don't play with no invisible dick around.
For the people that's really, enjoying it and looking at it as a beautiful thing, I really appreciate the art of sex.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just the mind, the mind part of it, just the visual part of it, just the deep breaths, just the when you really into it, just the, you know what I'm saying? Just the passion in it. Like when you real life enjoying it and you know you doing it with somebody that you enjoy doing it with. Like I said, and like you said, sex wasn't like that always.
It wasn't.
You know what I'm saying? And once you
unlock that, you can't go back. Like, you can't backtrack and be like, oh, now I'm finna have some regular sex.
And that comes with, like I said, that comes with knowledge. You don't know, just how you've been having sex and just being around females and just, being around you, being around Raymond, being around Cam, and just learning and hearing y'all talk about certain things that y'all like and certain things that y'all like. Raimi taught me about the fingering.
Yeah.
She called it the Spider-Man. She's the Spider-Man. Bro, I've been doing that shit ever since.
As you should.
You know what I'm saying?
Fire.
And that's one technique in my whoop-de-whoop that it never fit. And like I said, it worked for Raimi, so I assumed it worked for other chicks. And 9 times out of 10, it does. You know what I'm saying? Like, so just before we wrap it up with a Precious perspective, I just want to say, learn more about sex. Don't be scared to, and I'm saying I'm quoting everything I've heard from my sex professionals and people who were probably more experienced in sex than I was. But don't be scared to bring toys in the room. Don't be scared to don't be scared to just venture out. Don't be scared to try new things. Don't be scared to express yourself sexually. Like I said, it's a fun thing to do. Don't make it weird. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be weird. Yeah.
And one thing I also learned, you don't know what a person will allow you to do to them until you try to do it.
On me. But also, you want to get some consent prior.
Yeah,
I was just going to say,
you also want to get a bit of consent. But I know what you're saying as far as
in the moment of having sex,
passion.
You don't,
because you didn't slap the bitch and been like,
been slapped and I was like,
you into that.
And even to the people like I say, it's like just like it's not even to get into the certain kinks and the certain just like how motherfuckers be talking about spitting in each other's mouths and my first time spanking a bitch. I didn't know if that bitch was being, but we were already in the moment of sex, and I pulled out whip, got to slapping ass, and it was like, oh my God. Like, so you know what I'm saying? Like, so get consent for the most part, but
even if you like ease into it a little bit, make sure you immediately say, how does that feel? Do you want me to keep going? It's a real sexy ass way to be like, tell me how that feel.
Yeah.
You want
and
me
even
to
though
keep
you
going?
see that they're feeling it already.
Yeah.
But you just make sure.
But get that verbal. You know what I'm saying? Like,
don't be in the news.
Yeah, do not.
Yeah, don't
especially talk about Boogie told me.
Don't get this shit. Don't get this sheriff sent to your motherfucking house because you on some sexual freaky shit and you overdoing your part, or you got a bitch to just leave at the moment because you doing some shit that you thought she might have liked. And she not with that shit at all.
Yeah, I definitely think it's important for you to, again, like I said, I get to know somebody's mindset before I even, you know what I'm saying, like continue to pursue them sexually. And so I kind of want you continue to have those open and honest conversations about what you might be curious about. Like, again, at the moment that I feel like, oh, I might be curious about something, I'm bringing it to my partner and saying like, oh, you know, I think I want you to lick me here, touch me here, do this to me, right? I want you to like hog tag me and like, you know, do some wild shit and till I happy cry. So I'm very I'm gonna tell you what I want, but also I have to feel comfortable in what
Ain't that 1-9, is it?
No, it's not.
Oh, all right.
I'll sip of that agua.
Please sip some Wawa.
I have to feel comfortable and safe in what we have going on to be able to communicate that to you, because I've been in relationships, or I've even dated or dealt with guys after the age of 30 where I was being more vocal and I was like, yeah, I'm just not going to share this piece of me with you. Like, you just don't have access to that. Versus somebody else where I'm like, I'm doing the most nasty, disgusting, black jelly bean worthy shit with you. But you the only person that's gonna see that side of me because I feel safe here. I feel like I can be my full sexual deviant. The full sexual deviant that I'm fully capable of. I can be that here. With another motherfucker, I'm like, okay, I guess I'll be vanilla. And also I don't want that. Like, that's not what I want.
It's not, it doesn't feel, like you said, safe or secure in that space. It almost feels like it's something that you shouldn't be doing. And to wrap with a Precious perspective, I think several things that you said, I'm sitting back just thinking about the idea, the correlation between sex and communication, and understanding first and foremost in all sexual acts, consent is key. You know what I'm saying? And we want it to be verbal a lot of times, but as Boogie was saying, sometimes you can pick up on the vibes. You know when something, you can read the room. You know when something is like,
she wouldn't allow you to do almost anything.
Also, even in vanilla sex, it's okay to have a safe word.
Yeah, you know. And so I think that But most importantly, the thing that you said that really kind of made the I guess made my perspective was the strength and vulnerability. The moment that you begin to feel like, you know what, this is no longer serving me. This is no longer something that, whereas I did enjoy at this point, I can change my mind. Things are different now. And so once you stand in that change, being not only vulnerable enough, but curious enough, attentive enough, and all of those other things to begin to aid in your journey to progress. And so I think that sexually that's important, and it's something that's important communicatively, because once you learn that, okay, bet maybe every conversation that I have may not be the best one. Again, same thing with sex. Every sexual experience may not be the best one, but the fact that I was there and I attempted to be present in that moment, I was open to the person that I was communicating with to receive any of their feedback and any of their, hints, tricks, whatever the case may be. I make for a possible better sexual situation and or conversation for the next time around.
Yeah.
And so I would just say, again, to any and everybody out there, be present, be you, be vulnerable, and just show up. That's really, if not 99%, that's really everything. Just you being there and willing. And so with that, that's a wrap on me. Boogie, you got anything else for the people?
I do have one more thing to say. Jody, can you let the people know where they can find you? Platforms, anything you have coming up, anything you have, just anything brewing, anything that people need to know about.
Yeah, sure. So, again, I'm Jody. I am the host of Her Nut Matters. You can check out Her Nut Matters on all platforms. If you have Apple, Spotify, there is video. So you'll be able to see the video as well as listen to the audio of the show. The video is also on YouTube, and audio is out on all other platforms wherever you listen to your podcast. You can check out Her Nut Matters on Instagram. That's the only place Her Nut Matters has a presence. As far as me, Jody, the sexologist, you can check me out on Instagram mostly. Don't add me on Facebook. Don't add me on Twitter. Don't add me on Snapchat.
Damn. Shit.
But I am JodyPrhoe on Instagram. If you want to check out TikTok, that's cool, but I don't really be posting there, so it'll be a waste of time. Instagram is where it's at. That's where I act a fool. That's where I express myself the most. So yeah, that's all I really got, honestly. If you guys are interested in learning about sex, check me out. I do offer classes, both group classes, private one-on-one classes. I do have coaching clients because, again, I am a certified sexologist, so I do take clients. And I also do like kinky massages and shit. So I help you like figure out and explore your kinks in a very safe environment. So yeah, if you're looking for something like that as well, hit me up.
With that being said, this is Bonding with Boogie and the Precious Perspective. Jody, provocative, thank you one more time for coming through. She's family. We love you, and we are out.
Bye.